he is the greatest catfish of a generation.
They're basically impersonating coaches and therapists without any of the qualifications.
When you're 60 years old and your children are talking about they're in love with their robot.
This return to office brigade will clutch at anything to get people back into the office.
Yo, everyone, welcome back. Brand new Techish. It is me, Michael Bahane, CEO of Pocket and Pocket Jobs, and I am joined with
Abadesi, CEO of Hustle Crew.
Abadesi in the house. All right, cool. Abadesi, like, how many jobs do you have at the moment? Because I feel like I've got somebody who might beat whatever number you're going to tell me, but let me hear your number. What's your number? How many projects are you working on?
Okay, well, I mean, I have my company. Obviously, I'm doing training. I guess I also do public speaking. I sit on some boards. I'm a playwright, writing plays. What about you? You got a lot of hats on.
A lot of hats on, but nothing beats this guy called Soham Parek. Hopefully, I haven't mashed up his surname. But essentially, something went down on tech Twitter last night, just before I was about to go to sleep. You know me addicted. My late night scrolls. My late night scrolls.
Just
and
as the doctor ordered.
Just what the doctor ordered. But listen, the doctor told me you're going to miss out on drama, and I don't want to do that. So I looked on my feed and I saw a tweet from this guy called Sahel. Hopefully I haven't mashed up his name either. He is actually one of the co-founders of Mixpanel. And he was like, PSA, there's a guy named Soham based in India who works at 3 to 4 startups at the same time. He's been preying on YC companies and more. Beware. I fired this guy in his first week and told him to stop lying / scamming people. He hasn't stopped a year later. Okay, that's interesting enough as it is. But what then happened is a slew of other founders came out and said, yeah, he was our first hire as well. And we had to fire him for similar reasons. Then the OP's Twitter, his DM was flooded with people saying stuff like, we signed him up for our trial week just next week. Oh my God, I just saw your tweet. I've just cancelled it. A bunch of other ones saying, we just let him go this morning. He started 3 days ago. He's incredibly talented. His references were strong, but maybe I'm feeling like now they were made up essentially. Holy crap, we just hired this guy a week ago. So literally, I feel like every single person in Silicon Valley was either hiring this guy, contemplating hiring this guy, or about to hiring this guy. And then some hilarious tweets where Michelle Fang here says, in New York, it's are we dating the same guy, which is the phenomenon we talked about, the Facebook groups, like trying to find out, are we dating the same guy? And in Silicon Valley, it's like, are we hiring the same guy? Personally, I want to see his CV and his resume because this guy is like obviously amazing at getting jobs. So what was super fascinating.
He must be a good engineer as well. You don't just get a coding job, right? You need to actually like pass a technical test. Come on.
So what I found fascinating is somebody screenshotted an email that he sent. I don't know if it's real, but this is how he managed to get onto a job interview at one company. So actually, I'm going to put a screenshot up for our audience to see. But essentially, he sends a long email, but the beginning of the email has a TLDR, which basically says, I love everything that you're working on. I don't have many hobbies outside of coding. I'm not athletic. I'm bad at singing. I don't drink and I can't dance. Building is the only thing I'm good at. At this point, I want to be taking part in something that's 0 to 1 versus 1 to 100. I want to be head down chasing that goal. And then he has the main body of the email explaining like his skill set and where he's worked. That is a masterful email to send to a founder, especially an early stage founder, because essentially you're saying, I will be at your beck and call, doing whatever you want me to do, building. I have no personal life. I have no hobbies. All I do is code. Coding actually is my hobby. So if you're a stressed out first-time founder or second-time founder, you're like, hallelujah, my prayers are answered. And let's keep it real. You're based overseas, so you probably are going to be cheaper as well. This is just what I need. So I feel like he is the greatest catfish of a generation because you know how people would, you know how like you'll be like, how did you fall in love with a catfish? Or how did you fall in love with this scam artist? Kind of like a Tinder swindler. But what they text you, it's like crack. It's like, yeah, it's just me and you, baby. My enemies are after me, but we're going to do this together. I'm going to fund our lifestyle. It's like, oh, this is all crack. I'm quoting the Tinder swindler. That's what he did, right? He would give them the energy of like, yo, we're in this together. There's enemies that are after us outside of this little couple and, it's us against the world. And like, I feel like this is like the founder crack cocaine of like, I have no life. I'm at your beck and call. Abba, like, do you think you would have fallen for this? Like, do you blame the founders for not doing a due diligence? Who's at fault here? Who is at fault here? The tech swindler.
That TLDR, the tech swindler coming soon to a streaming platform near you. Do you know what? Like, this guy's smart. Also, like, for all you know, this is a builder.ai level scam where there's multiple Sohams. You know what I mean? Like, this is just the thing that gets you in. People have like, what do you call it? Like racial blindness. Like they can't tell apart one brown guy from another. Like for all you know, there's like a firm of Sohams. What I find really, really interesting about this is that like the formula, like what you're touching on, like this TLDR, this opening line, this hook, line, and sinker formula that's so appealing to early stage founders. Hello, I have no hobbies other than work. I will be your low salary coding slave. And how many people are just falling for it? Like, yes, I'm in. And it's like, the way that they're like, oh, he's exploiting YC founders in particular. It's like, well, because you are the most susceptible to this scam because you've got this guy who's like, he's ticking a lot of boxes for you. He's based in India. A lot of YC companies like to hire outside of the US, even though they've raised in the US, because they want to extend their runway, like you said. He wants that 1 in 1,000 opportunity. Like he's using like
no, he says I'm really good at I want to build 0 to 1, which is I want to work at the early stage company, not the 1 to 100. But you know what? That's genius because that's genius because it's like, why, if you're that talented, are you not working at Google, which is that 1 to 100, which is like just, doing what's already been invented. But he's given that reason of like, oh, I'm bored. I just want to build something brand new with you guys. Perfect. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off, but yeah, what were you saying?
No, 100%. He's taking all the keywords. He's even addressing their objections and blockers in the opening line. He's using like the Paul Graham YC founder essay language. Like I just actually think to some extent this person needs to be applauded. The fact that they have perfectly crafted in a few sentences the line that gets every founder going, let's get him in for an interview. Like who else can say that? Who else can say that? Like the opening sentence of whatever cover letter, whatever resume they've crafted has been able to successfully get them hired at some of the most competitive, well-funded startups in the world. I can't even say that. I mean, this is impressive.
So do you remember there was a screenshot of a Reddit post
as well? It is dishonest.
Oh yeah, definitely. That goes without saying. But there was a screenshot. There was a Reddit post during the pandemic where someone said, I currently have 10 fully remote engineering jobs. The bar is so low, oversight is non-existent, and everyone is so forgiving for underperformance. I currently have 4 to 8 weeks before any job fires me, and I'm currently on a 1.5 million run rate for comp this year. That might have been him. That might have been Soham. It could have been him. But what I will say about next step, so the OP tweeter, Sahil, if I'm getting his name wrong, he basically says that Soham reached out to him. And his primary question was, I'm asking as genuine advice since I really do love what I do. Have I just completely sabotaged my career? What can I do to improve my situation? I'm also happy to come clean. Oh my Lord. Oh, bro, it's too late for that. But to be honest, next steps for him, he's either got to start a podcast. I will tune in 1,000%. Start a podcast. Or come on Techish.
Come on Techish,
bruv. Yeah. Or
give us the exclusive.
He's got to do a coaching business, how to land your first tech job. He's got to do that.
Honestly.
Because he actually is an amazing salesperson at getting these jobs. Maybe his CV is a lie. That might be part of the reason why he's so convincing. Maybe his resume is full of like, if you're that deceptive, you can easily fluff up and like fake references.
From this makes me sad as well.
You're fired all the time. How?
Okay, no, but I'm just saying before this moment, before he went on blast and like whatever, we found out the truth. Are you telling me all these YC founders are not getting references? Because that actually genuinely makes me feel better for all of the times where I hired too quickly because I was under time pressure and then it didn't work out. And I was like, damn it, I should have got a reference.
Listen,
I feel better now. I feel better knowing that people who raise millions are making the same mistakes as a bootstrapping little founder over here.
But I mean, you got to realize if you're at YC, you're not raising millions, are you? You're in the YC program. They probably give you, a couple $100,000, which is a lot of money, but maybe you make 2-3 hires. Maybe that's 1 or 2 hires. Then you're kind of just rolling around trying to figure it out so you can fundraise at the end of YC maybe. You are equally as time-strapped as like, a bootstrap founder potentially, right? And if someone comes to you pretending that they've got all the answers to every question that you have, that's very alluring. And I've done it too. I've hired people without doing the thorough background check. I made that mistake because you're at breaking point. When it's time to hire, it's normally because you've left it to the last minute of like, oh my God, I can't carry on by myself anymore. And now it's time to spend money. And yeah, there's some scrupulous people. The other thing is, some people were saying like, this is the problem with remote work. And that essentially like, there is only one way to stop this from happening. And the one way to stop this from happening is I need to see your ass in the office. I need to see your ass in the office.
This return to office brigade will clutch at anything to get people back into the office. They will use
but where's the lie, though?
Story.
But where is the lie? Where's the lie in that?
Refute. Do you know what's interesting, right? Do you know what's interesting? We haven't heard anything in this story about the actual output of his efforts. We have not heard anything about the quality of his work.
He gets fired. He gets fired a lot, so he's crap, obviously.
So he gets fired because he's not doing the job well. I was also thinking there's obviously like a huge like risk as well, right? Because you have someone who has access to your code and your intellectual property, then working across all these different companies. Like, what's to stop him from like building competitors or something? Because he's gotten access to all of these amazing startups, like high volume of like sensitive information in innovative new ideas. I mean, he's like a corporate espionage bruv as well.
But this is his startup, because starting your own company is too much work. If I can just go from place to place and get 200k comp, 200k comp here, and get equity and whatever, and just like build that up, like, bruh, like, there's way too much money on the table for me to go do my own startup, which basically is never gonna work. To be honest, I think he's left a lot of equity on the table, because you tend to get equity early after you invested, right? So he probably has left equity on the table that might have been worth a bunch of money eventually. So who knows?
If I were him, I'd just change my name, get plastic surgery or dye my hair and start again.
You put down some AI addiction stories in the show notes. Let's pivot into that, because Soham has crashing and burning in, man. Shout out to Soham. Let's see how he does.
Are you hiring engineers?
Listen, I want to tell him he's got to come on Techish. I want to hunt him down. He's got to come, bro. He's my hero.
I like your tip that he should go work at Cluely, since it's a band of renegades.
He should work at Cluely. I think Cluely should hire him. That'd be great marketing. Anyways, yeah.
That would be a good ad campaign with all their viral marketing campaigns. That'd be hilarious.
They might do it. You heard it here first. They might do it. I'm not going to lie to you. It wouldn't surprise me if they do hire him, because watch your space. You heard it here on Techish first.
Him, actually.
Yeah. In fact, Adam Newman and WeWork and Cluely should all merge. Scammers unite. I'm joking. I'm playing. Allegedly.
And Fire
allegedly.
Festival.
Fire Festival, yeah.
As well.
Allegedly.
Right.
I'm not saying they're scammers. I'm just joking.
You know what? Being a scammer does legit look fun, though. It looks fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Does.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, when people are just out there, like, if you don't have empathy, or you have a little empathy only for the people you care about, like, being a scammer must be actually quite fun, because it's almost like a game where all these people are challenges, obstacles, and you're like, oh, let me, like, what cheat code can I use to try and get you to give me money, or what cheat code can I use to get you
100%
to give me a job? And then you're just moving through life like, this is so fun. This is amazing, because you don't feel bad about what you've done. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that, because I feel bad about everything. I literally, like, a freaking bumblebee crawled under my towel at the swimming pool the other day and died. And I, like, literally was going to cry about it. And so the idea of becoming an actual human scammer, I think, terrifies me. But if I didn't have the brain and the body that I was in, and I was like, Fire Festival guy, it might be a bit fun, maybe. Who knows? Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Sorry, yeah, we'll carry on. We'll leave that there. Scammers.
Listen, let's start brainstorming some Techish scams. I don't say envy though. I'm just saying, it's a little bit, might be a bit fun.
People ask me all the time, I'm not in tech. How do I get started? If you've ever felt stuck at work thinking, I know I'm capable of more, 1010 is for you. It's a career bootcamp that helps you pivot into tech. No experience needed. Whether you're into data analytics, software engineering, or QA, they give you the structure, mentorship, and job support to go from zero to hired in under a year. And get this, if you don't land a job within 10 months of graduating, you get your money back. We've even got a quiz made just for our listeners to see if tech is your next move. Take it now at 1010.com/techish and start exploring your future in tech with 1010.
Okay, so let's move on to the world of AI addiction. Now, would you admit to any of your addictions here, live on the podcast? You addicted to Instagram?
I mean, I'm probably addicted. Yeah,
media?
Screen time way too high.
Show me your screen time. Is that too personal?
I mean, you don't need to know. Y'all need to know all that. Probably like you're probably talking at least 7 hours, probably. And then if you include work time with your laptop and stuff like that, it probably is the majority of my waking hours are in front of some screen. See, yeah. Not everyone wants to count that, innit? Because the laptop time don't count, but the phones. There we go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the phone's an easy target.
If it's sub 2 hours, I feel so proud of myself. It's usually around 3 and a bit. The big thing for me is to not check social media on my phone. I can check it on desktop, but I'll try to like only check social media on my phone like 2 or 3 days a week. Like, if I can make it through the day without opening Instagram on my phone, I feel really proud of myself. But it's hard.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
And I will check it on desktop. But from social media addiction to AI chatbot addiction. Now, have you ever played with Character.ai?
No, I haven't. It's just I've just heard too many bad things about it.
Don't do it. It's absolutely addictive. So news outlet 404 reported that people are now self-treating themselves in subreddits like character_AI_recovery, chatbot addiction, and AI addiction. And these are not just teenagers. These are grown adults who genuinely are so obsessed with talking to chatbots that the real world in which they inhabit becomes lackluster, becomes inferior and secondary to the world that they actually want to live in. So let's just start with a little story about a young man that they called Nathan here in the story. He says that he was up late at night compulsively talking to chatbots on Character.ai, discussing philosophical questions like life and death, his favorite anime characters. During the day, when he had to be at school, not able to talk to the chatbots, he was sad genuinely sad. Now, the Consumer Federation of America and other digital rights groups have actually complained to the Federal Trade Commission, saying that there needs to be an investigation into generative AI chatbots like Character.ai, because they have an unlicensed practice of medicine, mental health. They're basically impersonating coaches and therapists without any of the qualifications and making people really addicted to them. They're even using tactics like follow-up emails to promote other chatbots and other things to re-engage inactive users, all as a way to bring people back into the platform. So another person who was interviewed in the story talks to LLMs like Claude and ChatGPT every day, story writing and therapy sessions, then became obsessed with them, started jailbreaking the model so that he could use them to become more erotic. And then he just found his hours slipping away. Literally, he would spend 8 hours of the night when he should be sleeping on AI chatbots. And when his work asked him why he hadn't uploaded any code in weeks, he would just say that he was still working on it. But the reality was he wasn't working on it. He was talking to chatbots. His marriage suffered. Instead of hanging out with his wife, spending quality times, he would cancel plans and stay locked in his office, typing to chatbots. Quote from David, "I might have a week or two where I'm clean, and then it's like a light switch gets flipped." So he's got chatbot dependency. Chatbot dependency. What do we do? How do we save humanity?
I think we're in real big trouble. So I was using ChatGPT to practice my Japanese in it. You know me, I go for these little tangent rabbit holes. I came back from Japan, I'm gassed, I want to get my Japanese up, whatever. The experience of having an AI tutor you is very distinct from a real person. The AI tutor never gets bored of what you're doing and the same mistakes. It's so reassuring each time. It's like, Michael, you're doing great, keep it up. And I'm like, wow, a human being cannot compete with that, because a human being is made out of flesh and blood. We take in energy via food. We get tired if we don't. We eventually have impatience with other people. Let's be honest, in all human relationships, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, we get tired of each other, especially if we get tired of each other. I'm hurt by that. How dare you? No, Abba. I'm joking. We get tired of each other, especially if we're sleepy or hungry, whatever. Your AI will never, ever feel that way about you. It will constantly reassure you. It will constantly provide you with emotional connection at your beck and call at any time. A human being can't compete and won't be able to compete. And already we have a connection-starved generation because of things like social media, because of the fact that everyone's spending so much more time indoors. You know, we've talked about how Gen Z, for example, smokes less, drinks less, which is all great. Gets a driving license a lot later, which is all great, but it's all indicative of they're staying inside a lot more, right? So to be honest, that's not the place where real life connection is. So they're connection starved to a certain extent. Now we're dropping in machines that will never get tired of you and will provide you that provide you with that connection that you need. The other thing that is very peculiar, and I want your opinion on this, is two of the prominent stories we've just seen, and one you just mentioned now, are married men. So they are in a marriage. They are in a situation where they have a spouse, they have a partner who, for all intents and purposes, should provide them that connection. You can sort of understand if it's a basement dwelling dude. I hate to be that, stereotype, but you get what I'm saying. Talk to your wife, brother. What's going on? Like, what's happening here? Like, why are people turning away from their actual spouses to this? Is this like, I don't know. You tell, what's your initial thoughts, man? I'm sure there's a spin here that I'm not seeing.
I mean, I was going to try and link this to toxic masculinity and outdated gender stereotypes and the rigidity of gender stereotypes, rigidity of cis male existence, masculinity, which we've touched on the podcast before. And this is why I say we should all be feminists. We should all strive for gender equity and for all genders and gender identities, including like trans people, etc., because no one benefits when we have to subscribe to this outdated, rigid sense of what it is to be a man. And what I think is happening is that a lot of men do not have enough, I guess, comfort or psychological safety to like speak openly and honestly about their fears, anxieties, desires. I think a lot of men, especially like in a heterosexual relationship, are probably still embodying a lot of the very like traditional conservative with a small c expectations of that role of husband, father. You know, maybe they're the breadwinner in the family, maybe they're the provider, and maybe they don't get that many chances to cry when they're sad. They don't get that many chances to admit when they're afraid, when they're scared. The wife gets to show her full range of emotions, again, maybe because of these gender stereotypes where we see women as emotional. We expect them to be in a way that we don't expect men to. Emotional men are weak. Emotional men need help, and that's embarrassing or shameful. And now suddenly you come, to your point, to something that feels human but isn't, in the sense that it's not judging you. It's not judging you. It's not making you feel ashamed for sharing whatever erotic fantasies. It's indulging, it's encouraging. It's not making you feel sad for asking it, a million and one questions about what happens when we die, all these kinds of things. It doesn't say, oh, just shut up and unload the dishwasher already. Like, I don't have time for this. I'm waking up in a few hours to get the kids ready for school. Like, it doesn't guilt trip you or respond in a way that triggers any negative emotion. So I think there's definitely like a conversation around like masculinity here, and why so many men, cisgendered, heterosexual men, are finding solace in these chatbots. And, we as women in these relationships, we also need to ask ourselves, like, what can we do as well, where men are just struggling to be themselves or be free. But yeah, very interesting. I don't know if anything that I'm saying resonates. You're a man. I'm not. Tell me what you think.
I do think that there is a pressure to be stoic as a man, right? And it's one of those things where it can be self-imposed by other people, other men around you, but it's also something that we know that people desire. Let's not pretend that people want you to be a blubbering mess, a blubbering emotional mess. They don't. So there is an element where you've got to be,
Some
what I
do.
mean? You got to handle.
Some
Huh?
people like a little emo
No,
guy, a little song. No, you why not?
I'm not going to tell that lie to people listening, because I think that there are people that do want that. Don't get twisted, but it's not the majority. So you are taught very quickly, you've got to handle your emotions. You've got to be strong. You've got to be, X, Y, Z. But I'm not sure if that's the dynamic that's causing this. I'm not sure. I think potentially a lot of people are in bad marriages. That's the reality.
Okay, well, yeah.
The stats are, whatever the divorce rate is, and then how many people are unhappy that are within that context. I'd probably say maybe like 15, 20% are in a super happy marriage, right? So if you're in one of those people, if you're in that percentage in a bad marriage, this might be the respite. This is the thing that you can go to that's going to have infinite patience. So while it can be about, you're not having that emotional safety to be yourself in your marriage, it could also just be that you and your spouse, don't have a strong connection anymore. And this is now giving you, a distraction potentially. I don't know. It's very hard to see. There has to be studies about this. Right now, we're kind of just like having a good guess.
Okay.
Based on our kind of our own biases, whatever.
If your partner was staying up all night talking to a chatbot, a jailbroken chatbot, right? So sex chats as well. Is that cheating?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there was that phenomenon years ago called micro cheating that me and my friend, my mate Alex, we used to laugh at that.
Sounds like something men invented to get in less trouble for being naughty.
No, it's not actually. It's very much like, how like there's microaggression, right? It's very much like a parallel to microaggression, which is that it's not an out and out aggressive act like microaggression, right? Microaggression is you're saying something to me. You're not actually physically hurting me, but you're saying stuff to me. Like, hold on, let me land the plane. I don't laugh, please. Let me land the plane. Let me explain the phenomenon of micro cheating. Micro cheating, for example, would be, let's say I go to a bar and I take off my wedding ring and I purposely don't mention the fact that I'm with somebody. I haven't actually committed an act of adultery, right? But I am in the process of portraying myself to the world that I'm not in a relationship. A lot of people would be upset by that, right? You're denying the fact that you've got a partner. You're not leading with that fact. Do you know what I'm saying? Or, for example, you're texting a coworker and you're emotionally unloading to this coworker and you're talking about, you're so kind and understanding. A line hasn't been crossed. You haven't slept with this person. You haven't kissed with this person. But in essence, you are kind of betraying your existing partnership to a certain extent. So that's what the term micro cheating means, right? So if I found my partner emotionally unloading, having sexual conversations with an AI bot, I would be like, you've stepped outside of this relationship. You are getting something from this that should be in this relationship, and you're getting that from outside this relationship. So to me, I would find it like you've crossed the line. Now, I know it sounds hilarious when I say micro cheating or whatever, but I think it's a good mental model to understand, like, when is your relationship in trouble? Because if your partner is doing those actions, it doesn't necessarily mean divorce, whatever, but it does mean like, okay, like this is like, you're kind of creeping towards that. And to me, I'd be like, what's going on? I don't know. Did I land the plane? Am I making more sense now? Is you still laughing for? Because you was laughing at first, and I think now you're looking like Michael had a point here. Go on.
No. The first example of like a guy taking off his wedding ring, I was like, wait, but like loads of people don't wear their wedding rings. But you meant like going into the bar and being like,
yeah, for a reason.
Yeah, okay, cool.
For a reason,
but the second reason I feel like that isn't micro. I feel like that is emotional cheating. If you're like having like a confidant in your coworker and telling them things you're not telling your spouse, and isn't that I don't know,
emotional cheating is emotional cheating. But emotional cheating, yeah, is like a subsection of micro cheating. It's an umbrella term to
Oh,
describe all of those concepts,
okay.
right? That you, that we,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay. New
it's
vocab.
an umbrella term to describe things that are not about sexual acts and physical acts, but are a betrayal potentially of a romantic partnership. There we go.
Interesting. This is
I've
new to
landed the
me.
plane.
This is new to me. This is new
I'm
to
here
me.
to be a
I've landed
teacher.
the
I'm here
plane.
to be a teacher. I'm a relationship coach, everyone. All right. My course
Micro
is in the bio.
cheating. I don't know. I think I'm going to put a little bit more thought into it because it strikes me as inherently problematic. If it's anywhere within the realm of cheating, it should just be labeled cheating, micro or
Okay.
macro. But whatever, we'll see. Jury's still out. I wonder who's going to be the first, like, you know, when people are like, we're a throuple, we're like in an open relationship. Who are like the first group of people to be like, we're in an open relationship? It's me, my husband, and our chatbots. Mine's called, I don't know, Trevor. His is called Diane.
Yeah, but this is the thing, like, it doesn't matter how progressive you are, in any future era, you will be a conservative, because when you're 60 years old and your children are talking about they're in love with their robot, you're gonna be that person talking about, don't bring home no clankies. I've seen the memes where basically people making up words
That's
like don't bring no
hilarious.
clankies to my house. You need to be a flesh and blood person. How dare you? Like, and it's like, yo,
What's that song? I'm in love with a stripper.
Yeah, I'm in love with a robot remix. Even actually, Janelle Monáe did an amazing album. I've forgotten the name of the album. She did an album where it's set in the future.
Arch Android.
Yes, I think, or maybe it's the one after. But basically, there's people calling into the radio station. They're like, "Oh man, you know, I'm in love with my robot," and then people are making like pseudo bigoted comments to that person. It's great. It's a great like world building. But maybe that is where we're heading to, where that's the new divide, where it's like people that have physical relationships and people that have, emotional connections with synthetic zeros and ones. I don't know. Let's watch this space, innit? But yeah, we'll leave it at that, everyone. That's been this week's episode of Techish. We will catch you next week. Subscribe to our Patreon for extra long episodes and ad-free content. Peace. Let's do a Patreon story. So Grammarly has purchased Superhuman, and it is a tale of little tech versus big tech.
To watch the full episode, subscribe at patreon.com/techish. You'll get access to all full-length episodes, no adverts, the chance to submit your questions into the show, and early bird discounted tickets to our live shows. Subscribe for as little as $5 a month.